Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. As always, I'm in the lovely town of Winter Haven, Florida today, and we are going to be doing some back road stuff. Go check out some small towns. A viewer of the channel recommended me to go check out the small town of Frostproof, Florida. So I'm going to start off here in Winter Haven. We're going to make our way over to Lake Wales. And then we're going to make our way on down to Frostproof. I got a few things I wanted to see while I'm here. I'm a big fan of old style theaters, retro theaters. I got a couple of those jotted down that I want to go take a look at. But other than that, what we see extra, we're just going to stop and film it. If I got to do a U-turn to go back and check it out, we're going to do so. But look at this view right here. In Winter Haven at this McDonald's where I picked myself up my hot coffee, my hot cup of Java. That is absolutely beautiful. What a nice place to sip on some coffee or eat a biscuit in the morning. They got little tables out here at this McDonald's. This is so cool. But there's something else about this McDonald's that makes it way more awesome than just this view. I'm going to share it with you right now. And this is what makes this McDonald's so daggone neat. Look at that. Look at that signage. That is old retro. That is a real relic right there. That is so cool. It's the one arch sign. I think if the internet is correct and it did not fib to me, there's only about 12 of these left in the world. And one of them is right here in Winter Haven. That is so awesome. This sign actually dates back to 1962. And I think that is really, really cool. Don't really know what the crest means. It's got like crest up on either side, on the left and the right side where it says McDonald's. So I'm really not sure what that means, but it's on there. I've never seen a McDonald's with a crest like that before on either side of it. And I love how it says over 99 billion sold. And it kind of warms my heart just to know that, you know what, I'm part of that 99 billion. Because I've definitely consumed some McDonald's burgers throughout my lifetime. All right, there's more stuff to see here in Winter Haven. So let's carry on. All right, I made my way over here, downtown Winter Haven. This is called Central Avenue right here. And look at this awesome old theater right here. It's called the Ritz Theater. And this is pretty cool because the Ritz was opened in 1925. It was originally named the Williamson Theater. It was remodeled and renamed in 1932 to the Ritz Theater. Then it was closed in the mid-80s, and then in 1989 it was reopened and turned into a teen dance club called Off Limits. It closed within a few years. Then the theater remained closed in 1997. Then a non-profit group purchased the theater in 1999, and the Florida state gave them $250,000 grant to help restoring the theater. And finally in 2023, the theater called the Ritz reopened. What a good feel-good story. Love it when these old theaters get a second opportunity to entertain folks. As we have the Blues Brothers out front. That is pretty cool, pretty awesome. I love it that the little details sometimes, you know, of the lights. I bet that looks pretty cool at night when you're driving down through here and you see the Blues Brothers hanging out in the window. That is pretty cool, but it's a really nice looking theater. And my favorite thing I think about this theater that I enjoy is this awesome sign. You know, that is like epic. I love the signage. I love the colors, the red, the yellows, the orange. You know, it really sticks out. Like, as soon as I pulled onto this road when I was parking, I immediately could see, like, there it is. There's the Ritz Theater. Sometime, you know, these old theaters, when I find them, especially in North Carolina, you know, there's not a lot of them with this kind of signage going on. But this is really an awesome one. Really, really cool. The Ritz Theater right here in downtown Winter Haven. Nice. Okay, so right here next to the Ritz Theater, I just noticed they have an old sign, probably dated back maybe in the 40s. But check this out, right there is the Ritz Theater back in the day, and they also had a drugstore back in the day, which is now a tavern. It's not a drugstore no more. But yeah, that's what old school downtown Winter Haven used to look like. Look at that old cool Coca-Cola sign right there, man. I wish that was still around. That is pretty awesome. Okay, let's keep moving. All right, I bid you welcome to Lake Wales, Florida. City in a garden is what it reads up there on the water tower. Very interesting place so far. Obviously, all these places I'm visiting today, these little towns, I know nothing about them because I have never been here before. But this in here has quite a bit of an abandonment vibe going on. Look at this old building here, the windows, even on the second floor, have been broken out. Bottom windows and doors have been all boarded up. And then look at that place. All the grass, it's all grown up. Looking pretty rough for wear. And right here on the corner of this building is the United States flag. Old Glory flapping in the wind, attached to a pole, flagpole. And this is the United States Postal Service office here in town. It says First Street Station Carrier Annex. And it looks like they have a mirror image of another flag on that corner over there. And that is where I'm headed to next, because look at that big old building. Actually, somebody sent me a little bit of information about that. It has a lot of history here in this town, so let's go over there and check that out. All right, I made it over here to the old hotel. This is known as the Dixie Wells-built Hotel. It is also known as the Hotel Wells-built, or the Grand Hotel, some people call it. And it was constructed in 1926 through a local stock sale campaign at a cost of about $500,000, which today, that would roughly be about $6 million. So it also opened January 14th, 1927. So this hotel was designed by Fred Bishop and DJ Phepps in a masonry vernacular style with Mediterranean influences. The 10-story structure features the classic 3-part vertical block layout, base shaft and cap. So another fun fact about the old hotel is it has Hollywood and political ties. Original investors included Florida Governor John W. Martin, silent film stars Mary Pickford and Gloria Swanson. Also, plus Hollywood attorney Nathan Birkin and producer Victor Heerman. And if all of that fun information is not enough to make this place extra impressive, it also had a little bit of mob ties. Al Capone might have had some tunnels, this is a rumor, had tunnels that he used beneath this hotel. I guess he used to frequently, or has used this hotel before. Because you know Al Capone, he had tunnels everywhere, it seemed like, for his escape when the lawmen got after him. But wow, this place is really, really cool. I mean, just look at these doorways and the windows. Man, that'd be awesome to get to go inside there and look around. Walk up through the building. I wonder what it looks like. I wonder if there's like leftover stuff from hotel days, like beds and so on and so forth. Probably not. But wow, just look at that overhang, like awning that they built up there. That is really cool. Okay, so I was walking around the old Grand Hotel location right there, and I noticed this old school mural painted on the wall. Very faded. Looks really old. I don't know if it's super old or is it just the artistic style makes it look that old. But check out this building right here, and they actually used the door and kind of painted around it. That is pretty awesome. And somebody took a chunk of the paint along with them, so you can actually see they got plywood here. Maybe this was a window at one point in time, I'm not sure, but it's pretty nice painting. It's got a lot of Florida in it with the palm trees. You see a lot of cactus like this kind of growing around here and there. We got some turtles. the deer out there, and then like the big live oak with the moss hanging off of it. Very Floridian. Oh, we even have a little plaque right here called Florida Flowers, sponsored by Cliff's True Value. All right, now I made my way down the road a little bit further here on the scenic highway, and this here is the Lake Wales History Museum. It says now open, but it's really not. But the cool thing about this old building, it sits right here on a train track. And I would imagine at one time this was probably a train depot for the town of Lake Wales. All right, so I'll walk to the other side of this museum, and my thoughts of it being a train depot are heightened now. Because check this out. They got an old train caboose right here and other train cars. And this here, it says Seaboard Railroad through the heart of the South. That is pretty cool. And they have a little tip right over here. Take a tip, be safe this trip. I love it, that's so original. Ooh, we got the Lake Wales Fire Department. As you can hear a church bell off in the distance chiming. One of my good buddies growing up was a fireman. And this here is fire truck number 23. Like as in Michael Jordan. Here to help. And they have another fire truck here. Look at this one. It's an old Ford. But you can barely make out the F-O-R-D on the front of this one. And look. They were fans of The Flash. Not really. But fire trucks are normally red. The Flash is red. So, hey, it kind of works. This here was a Ford Super Duty F-850. Thing had some stroke. You can barely make out the old Lake Wales decals on this one. That is so cool. It says custom cab, but it does not have no Apple Play in there or anything like that. Just kidding, that was just a really silly joke. See all their gauges right here for the water pressure, their hookups, their levers. This was Lake Wales, Florida, 1961. When I first seen this truck, I immediately was thinking like late 50s, early 60s. Didn't know exactly when it was. And the only reason I know that is because my buddy, who was a fireman, he talked about fire trucks all the time. And he was a fireman, but he really lived it. He loved his craft, that's for sure. And he would tell me stuff. I'd actually paid attention every once in a while. He would actually be proud to know that I knew kind of about where this truck lied as far as the age of it. The old hoses back here into the back. And I guess that one right there got a little bit too hot during the last time it was used, because it looks pretty shredded and melted. And check out this old train. This here's the engine. This is what makes it all happen when you're talking about trains. What gets it moving down the track. That old bell right there, I almost missed that. And they've got a passenger car right here behind it. The old passenger car, the roof on it looks a little rough for wear, that's for sure. All right, that was a really good stop right here. Really cool, some really neat roadside attraction stuff. Got to see some old things here in Lake Wales, pretty awesome. And I think it's time to move on toward Frostproof now. If you look off into the distance there, you can kind of see where we was at a few minutes ago. You can see the very tippity top of the Grand Hotel. And before I leave Lake Wales, notice I'm at a school. And this is a roadside attraction that is definitely something you have to do when you come to Lake Wales. And yeah, this is called Spook Hill Elementary. And you can actually see it has a ghost as a mascot on there. Looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. But I'm going to show you now why they call this Spook Hill Elementary. Because it is spooky. Alright, as we drive down this road right here, this curve, it feels like I'm going downhill right now. And this is pretty crazy. Look at the sign right here at this road. Check that out. Spook Hill. Look at the Ghostbuster ghost up there pointing to the sign. That is the legend. We will definitely get out and read that. But first of all, this is Spook Hill. And this is one of those optical illusion things. When I first seen this, I thought we were going up that hill right there. But that's not how this works. You actually pull up to the white line right here. Right here beneath the Spook Hill signage. Right up. I think we're pretty good there. What do you think? We're pretty dead on. And then we're going to put it in neutral, just as we did. All one shot, all continuous. And then release the brake. And we're going backwards. Supposedly uphill. Look. And we're moving. Holy smokes. A little bit faster than what I thought it was going to be. Make sure we look in the rearview mirror. We don't back in somebody. But this is it. This is called Spook Hill. I actually put my brake on right now. And I'm going to really back up. So this is, I think it would continue backing up. But I just want to park now and get out and show you the signage. But this here is the Spook Hill legend right here. Ages ago at Indian town of Lake Wales, lake was plagued by rays from a huge gator. The town's great warrior chief and the gator were killed in a final battle that created a huge swampy depression nearby. The chief was buried on its north side. Later pioneer haulers coming from Old Army Trail atop the ridge above found their horses laboring here at the foot of this ridge and called it Spook Hill. Is it the gator seeking revenge or the chief protecting his land? Stop car on white line, place in neutral, and let it roll back. So this is Spook Hill, which this guy walking right here, he's going up the hill, which, you know, like I said online, if I didn't tell you, I thought when I seen the first photos of this place that you go up the hill. No, you put it in neutral and you roll back this direction, back toward the school actually. So I'm gonna kind of back up right here and let's look and see if this is a optical illusion. Does it actually look like we go uphill as I take the camera down? And yeah, it does. It kind of does look like it comes uphill, like we backed up that hill when we was in neutral. Yeah, that's pretty neat. All right, this is really cool. As I'm leaving Lake Wales area, I noticed these groves over here. I don't know if this is orange groves or not. I would imagine so. I don't know the difference between an orange tree and an apple tree, to be honest with you, but I am starting to see some groves. I'm going to assume that's orange groves. But I do want to let everybody know as I drive that I do know I missed one roadside attraction in Lake Wales, and I purposely did it. I'm talking about the Bok Tower, which is really a hot spot to go visit. Beautiful gardens there. But we actually went on their website yesterday, and they had some warnings on there about how they were doing some construction updates and certain things would not be available during your visit. So I decided to not go. I decided to hold off on it. Plus, I think that would be something my wife would like to do because she loves gardens and things like that. And that's kind of what they're known for there. So that's the reason I did not go to the Bok Tower. I really wanted to go because it reminds me of Lord of the Rings. If you look at the Bok Tower, go Google, search it or whatnot. It is so awesome. I mean, you could totally see Sauron's eye fixated on top of that tower. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. That's kind of what that reminds me of a little bit. But all in all, it's a beautiful place. But that's the reason why I did not go, is because some of it was not going to be available, even though you still purchase a ticket to go in. And I wanted to get the full experience because, you know, it might be one of those once in a lifetime things. You know, I might go there just once and never come back. And I wanted to be able to take it all in. Look at that little squirrel up there on that power line. Check him out. He's tight-roping that bad boy. I've seen squirrels climb trees and things like that, but I don't think I've ever seen them on a power line. It's a good way to get barbecued, my friend. I don't think I would do that. You just never know what you're going to see here. And the town of Hillcrest. Hillcrest Heights Town Hall. 151 Scenic Highway here in Florida. Just right outside of the town of Babson. Thought this was an interesting little place. Only about 243 people populate the town of Hillcrest Heights. And it was founded in 1917 and incorporated in 1923. And I thought, you know, on my way to Frostproof, I would just kind of swing around here and see what I could see. I actually drove this way because I wanted to kind of get closer to some of the orchards or groves, orange groves, as I drove down toward Frostproof. So that was kind of the reason I swung around here. But I'm glad I did, because man, look at that. I got to see that squirrel up there just hanging out. I think I embarrassed him because now he's not climbing. When I first got out of the car, he was tight roping that baby all the way across there. It's pretty impressive, actually. Okay, let's carry on. All right, I have made it to a really awesome spot here. I was driving, got these orange groves out here, I would imagine, or assume that's orange groves. This here is Crooked Lake right here. And earlier we was talking about the Bok Tower. And I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I can see it with my eyes, but I don't know if the zoom is going to do it. But right there, I'm trying to get it right there in the middle of the screen, right there on the horizon. You can see the very top of the Bok Tower. It looks like a lighthouse from here. But that thing's it's huge. It's like an inland lighthouse, but it's just awesome, gothic looking tower, the Bok Tower. So I did get to see it today, just from a long way off. But what a view this is of this lake. Look how it just kind of wraps around on this hilltop. This is awesome. So we're going to continue on now back in this direction and make our way down to Frostproof now. Man, I'm telling you, I am doing it today. Look at this countryside, fields galore. I am in the middle of nowhere. We are doing it today. This is like real Florida stuff. This is countryside, back roads, orange groves galore. This is so cool. All right, I have made it down here to the end of the line on this road. See some of the orange groves over here. I can hear doves off into the distance, and a lot of bugs serenaded my arrival to our next location. Look at this spooky looking bridge right here. It's crazy. This is on Google Maps. It's a little extra thing I just found while I was out here in the middle of nowhere. But they actually call this Graffiti Bridge. I do not know why they call it Graffiti Bridge. Just kidding. Just a joke. A little light humor. But check it out. Not going to really walk inside because it looks pretty nasty in there with all the water, mud, things like that. If you see any bad words on here, just know I have nothing to do with it. I try not to point the camera too much, but there's just so much to look at. How can you not? I do see Jeep. I am a fan. I do own a Jeep Wrangler 4x4. Love it. It's a classic 1999 model. Really nice. Look at all that stuff. Man, they're hardcore. They had to bring ladders down here just to reach, unless they're super tall. But wow, that is crazy. That is definitely a good name for this place. Graffiti Bridge. It definitely works for itself. All right. This has been an awesome day so far. And we are almost to our final destination. Frostproof. Only about 10 minutes from here. Give or take any more stops. I do need to wrap it up though. I got stuff to do with my wife and my niece today. They're back at the theme parks while yours truly is out here seeing real Florida. This has been so much fun. It's good to get out of the theme parks. I mean, most people come to Florida for theme parks and beaches. I get it. We've done it forever. But this year, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to get out and see other things off the beaten path, and we definitely did that. Look at that right there, Graffiti Bridge. Who would have ever known? All right, let's move on. All right, I have made it down here to the city of Frostproof here in Florida. I just want to thank my friend Willie, by gosh 4887, to recommend me coming down here, because this is an awesome little town, really neat little location. And to start off things, look at this old building right across the way. Automotive Collection Experts. Yeah, I made my way over here to the side of this old auto parts store. But this looks like it used to be maybe an old dealership at one point. Right there's the service entrance. Got lubrication for probably oil changes and things like that. And I love this little pull-in area. This looks like maybe they would have old school cars sitting out here, you know, to catch your eye as you drove by here in Frostproof. But I guess it used to be the Auto Plus auto parts store. But I bet it goes way back further than that as far as history goes. What is this? What kind of car do we have? Ooh, wow. Is that a Mercedes? How crazy is that? And that looks like a Porsche right there. But it looks very much like it's not been used in a really, really long time. All right, so check out these vehicles in here. So on the front, the badging reads Puch, P-U-C-H. And it is actually an associated brand with Mercedes-Benz, which does make a little bit sense because down there I've seen some Mercedes-Benz vehicles. But this is a cool looking showroom. But over here, as we walk around to the side of the building, and when I see all this blue, I immediately see, I think Ford. Like this was maybe a Ford dealership at one time or another, but maybe not. Maybe not. See how they have this little thing right over here colored blue also. And even the used cars up here on the side of this building is kind of rendered in blue, even though it's very faded and kind of, you know, crusty now. And this right here says Gasoline Alley Incorporated sales. Please use front door. But look at all the old SUVs they have in here. Whoops, got a little too close there. Look at that. That is crazy. I walked around here on the very back side of this old building, this car dealership. It says Memory Lane. And then they have another sign up here. It says Gasoline Alley on that. That is pretty cool. Pretty awesome. All right, I made my way back around to the front of this, I guess, auto parts store, but it looks like an old dealership. If you know what this place is and you're from this area, definitely put in the comment section down below. Very interested to know what this was at one time. But look at that old relic up there. That is a TV antenna. I have not seen a television antenna like that since the 80s. I think my dad and my mom, I think we got cable TV around about 1990 in our area where I grew up. But through the 80s, that was the thing, man. You had the little box on top of your TV and you clicked around to the channel you wanted. You didn't get a lot of the channels at all. And if the president was on, your night was shot, man, because he was on every single channel. All right, so I've made my way across the road. As you can see, the auto parts store over there where we was located, but I wanted to come over here and show you this mural on the side of this building. It really shows you Florida with all the birds. Don't know what kind of bird that is, but I've seen quite a few of them during my drive today off on the sides of the roads in some of the wetland areas. Man, this thing is faded and it looks like it's got a lot of age to it. As you see this big alligator right here, check that out. That is pretty cool. And maybe even a rattlesnake right there hidden in the bushes. Oh, and we even have us a little plaque right up here called Citrus Country mural painted by Tom Freeman and friends. Frostproof's first mural, dedicated on July 4th, 2002, right there on Independence Day. Little did I know I was going to walk up and be able to say, hey, this is their first mural in town. How cool is that? Okay, right here on the corner of Scenic Highway and Wall Street, you have Citizens Bank, which was established in 1925. And speaking of the year of 1925, right across the street from that is this old theater. I think it's called the Ramon Theater. And look at that thing. That thing looks epic. This was definitely a gem in the rough, that is for sure. So this Ramon Theater, I read online, it was built in 1925 at the cost of about $100,000. And it stayed open till it closed in the 1960s. Then the Frostproof Chamber of Commerce purchased the building in 2002. They sought funding to restore the theater and eventually reopen it in 2008. Yeah, that's cool. I like old theaters. And pretty much right next door to the Ramon Theater is the Frostproof Chamber of Commerce. Right here. And they actually have a little signage up here for the Ramon Theater. That's pretty cool. I'm glad they got their funding they needed to open it back up, actually. Alright, I've made my way down Wall Street, East Wall Street, all the way to the end, to the waterfront. And this here is where we're going to end our vlog today, but we're going to do a little walk out here. Man, there is a lot of dragonflies buzzing around out here. Oh my goodness. But I thought this would be a good place to kind of end our vlog today. Let's walk out here, take a little view on this pier at Reedy Lake. I wonder if this has anything to do with Reedy Creek up by Walt Disney World, up in that area. They used to call it Walt Disney, Reedy Creek District or whatnot. I think that's all been changed now, but not really into all that jazz. But just kind of want to, whoa, hello birdies. Didn't mean to disturb you. I apologize. Wow, this is beautiful. All these lily pads out here. What an absolutely phenomenal view. That is one big lake, I'm here to tell you. I had a great day today, by the way. Any fish down there? Not really visible. I always wanted to go fishing. I've always liked bass fishing, like a lot. Used to do a lot of bass fishing when I was growing up and I had more time on my hands. I ought to make more time to go fishing, but I don't for whatever reason. Life gets in the way. You need to make time for stuff like that you enjoy. It's really important. Family and things you enjoy to do, I think, is good things to practice as you go through life. And I'm going to start doing a better job with that. But my goodness, this is absolutely phenomenal out here. But do want to kind of go over what we've seen today, some of the things that we've seen, Lake Wells, Winter Haven. Really got to see some neat back road town stuff today that normally you wouldn't get to see because most of us don't ever leave our resorts or our hotels and things like that. But Florida has a lot more to offer than you know. And seeing some of these smaller towns today really proved that to me. Because a few months ago when I was here, I traveled and done some stuff. Micanopy was really awesome. Loved that trip. Got to see a lot of cool stuff in there. And I'll put a link down in the description below just in case you've never seen that vlog. I'll kind of show you where I went that day. It was a lot of fun. So all that being said, my friends, I guess I'm done today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. And ooh, that guy's got a bass boat. I bet they got some huge largemouth bass in here. Yeah, he's right on those lily pads, man. That's where I would be throwing my lure. Right out there by the lily pads. Nice.